This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 189. Stop being so cynical. Are you a real estate agent who wants to turn your real estate job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan or any plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction or a better direction if you're already in the business, I've created a free jumpstart course for you over at freeagentgift.com. It's a nice one-page infographic. It gives you the entire strategic layout with the ideas of the concepts and the plans that I follow, meaning it's one page. It's a cheat sheet, and it helps you start to think from above, looking at this business holistically, rather than who's the next person that is going to buy or sell. It's a plan. freeagentgift.com. Then there's a video that walks through some other bullet points where I just talk about the plan. It's easy, okay? And it gets you in that right frame of mind, especially if you're a listener to this podcast. It'll give you a better idea of where to put the ideas in that overall framework. freeagentgift.com. All right, let's get started. Stop being so cynical. And again, as you know, and I say it a lot when I do this podcast, I come off of coaching all week long, whether it be my top producers in the Realty Classroom or Griffin agents now across the country. What I see as cynicism is probably one of the greatest tipping points for mindset. And so let me first say, the first point here is that cynicism is fine when you're open-minded, right? It can actually be an asset. I grew up in a city, Boston, where there were plenty of cynics and nobody trusted anybody. And that's just the way that it was. I mean, you grew up that way because you could get taken advantage of. And the worst thing is to feel like you took advantage of yourself by doing something stupid. So we are cynics by nature so that we can protect ourselves. So I get it. But cynicism with an open mind, well, now you're talking about it turning into an asset. So see, what I mean is that if I hear somebody and I let them finish, I don't let my inner cynic cut somebody off and stop them from giving me a new idea, or I watch a video and I just turn it off quickly because I shut my mind down and it sounds like hocus pocus, because a lot of it is. I get it. You know, we have this internet. Look at, here I am. If you have a laptop and you have a microphone and you have an opinion, you could be perceived as an expert. And you know, the problem with that is there are plenty of malevolent people who are malintended on the internet that want to pretend they know what they're talking about, and they want to take your money, and they don't care what happens to you. That happens. That's life. The internet's just a new medium upon which those tricksters can live. So I get it over and over and over. If you have been taken advantage of, or worse, you took advantage of yourself even though you knew better, you're going to be more closed-minded as time goes on. But I want to open that back up, right? I'm sorry, I'm knocking things around here. The point is, I want to open your mind back up, and I want to recognize the pluses and minuses of cynicism, okay? And remember, the title is Stop Being So Cynical. That's really the kiss of death. The next point here is why we don't want to become closed-minded through cynicism is because we don't know what we don't know about business, about real estate. We can't presume ever that the learning stops. I mean, one of the greatest benefits of being a coach all week long is I just don't stop learning. And I make these new distinctions. And I didn't know that I had the wrong perspective on little things and sometimes big things. But for the most part now, it's little things for me that swing big doors open, where all of a sudden, through coaching, I'm trying to help somebody else and I'm giving instruction, but a new network connects in my head and it's, that's interesting. I never saw that before. So you see, we might know a lot about real estate, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we put it all in the right order. And so we're always learning. So that excitement about that. See, I get excited about that. Look here I am. I do a podcast every single week. I actually do 3 of them. I do a podcast every week to share what I've learned through my coaching experiences. And that helps me get a new perspective even more so because I have to think about what I coached. I have to synthesize it, chunk it up, organize it, and I learn more. And that helps me constantly learn. And it's exciting. I'm about to do a podcast about motivation, that when you start to learn something, the chemicals are dripping and you get excited about it. See, cynicism, just for the sake of slowly becoming more and more closed-minded, can be extremely depressing. And it takes you out of being aware. You know, it's like a professional athlete that is in a contact sport, for example. You'll notice the best, their eyes are always up and they see what's happening. So they're fully aware that what they don't know the opponent's about to do, they're ready for it at least. So it's up, it's eyes up, and they're focused on where the action is. That's what a business owner should be like. That's what a real estate agent should be like. We should have our eyes up and where is the market going to be? What is the latest technology doing to affect the way the consumer behaves? What is the consumer's perception? See, there's so much fun in all of that if you'll just make it a game worth playing. So that's what I wanted to talk about, is that long-term cynicism creates something even more dangerous than you think. And that's called willingful blindness. Think about that. That's a really ugly thing, that you are willingly, becoming blind to perhaps opportunity to grow your business. See, over time, if you're growing to the negative side of cynicism only, not the positive, the positive side, let me just be clear, is questioning things. Okay, I took some notes here on what this person said about leads, about scripts, about dealing with sellers, dealing with buyers, whatever it might be, how to grow my book of business, what is prospecting. There are so many wonderful subjects to learn about that you can get people's opinions. And it's always good when you're hearing something, your eyes are up, you're listening, you're aware, take it out of your brain, through your arm, and onto a pad of paper. I like paper versus digital because there's something magical about writing some ideas down. I tell my kids, it's like catching fireflies, right? You go out there catching fireflies and throwing them down in the jar. And then you want to see which one of those is really blinking the brightest to you. What is that idea or that thing? And then questioning it. Now, if questioning is a little bit cynical, that's fine. But don't be rude about it. I mean, if you say to someone, look, I'm a little cynical, just say it explicitly. I'm a little cynical about what you said here about this sort of a lead generation. Because in my experience in the past, it didn't work that way. By the way, I'm actually talking about a very real scenario I had with one of my long-term clients who said that. Who said, look, I'm looking at this way of telemarketing and I'm cynical about it because in the past I did X, Y, and Z. I said, yes, that is exactly correct. And I would be cynical too. But the leads and the way that we got them back then is different. The words that we used were different. And quite frankly, it's a huge departure because we're talking about buyer follow-up versus seller follow-up. So when I was able to just break it down logically, the cynic in him became open-minded again to it. And by the way, he made swift action to go out and change a lot of things within a week. So you see, when used properly, and again, I had to collide in there as a coach a little bit, and that's why I'm sharing this concept this week, that as I collided in, I felt like he was on the verge of becoming willfully blind to the way things could really work for him. He knew they worked for me, and that's the hardest part about a coach who actually does this. I am typically trying to keep myself on the bleeding edge of what works so that I'm really up with the consumer. And then I have to go sell people who are in a cynical state or a stuck state or whatever it might be, or they're super busy doing things the hardest way they can versus more efficient, right? So I have to crash into some of this cynicism, and that's a delicate job as a coach. Some people get completely turned off by it, but most of my clients, all of them currently, that are with me, allow me to do that, to crash into that cynicism, because they know the willingful blindness, that can cause problems for years. So let me go back to this case I was talking about. There was a period of time where lead generation, everybody rushed online, and we were one of the early adopters, the group that I'm involved in. We knew how to get a good buyer lead online, and back then seller leads too. You could get leads online because everybody was so intrigued by going online, and there was very little competition. And with an intelligent strategic approach, you could have very intelligent conversations. You could do a lot of business that was profitable, meaning at the median price and above. There were intelligent people there who were meeting us with an intelligent approach, and it was great. But as time went on, that methodology, everybody rushed in. And when everybody rushes in, the level of service, just because of the law of averages, waters down. So all of a sudden, we became watered down as part of this, and what was unique and proper about what we were doing was lost in the noise. And so there was no adaptation away from it. And now it's just really the cynicism. You talk about the cynicism. The one to beware of is the global consumer cynicism when they have it for our business. You better beware of that. But as the doer of the thing, you can say, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have the energy anymore to reinvent myself and to do this business. Well, certainly, you know, that's really the final point here in this podcast. This is a pretty quick one. But okay, you're cynical about how things were, or how they could be now, because you look back and you say, I don't have the energy to do this. And to which I say, what's your alternative? If you're not going to break down some of your cynicism, and you're not going to at least listen and have a logical understanding of what's possible, and then you're not going to try it for yourself with an honest effort that follows that exact process, the way that you understand it logically. If you cheat it, or you sort of halfway it, or you give it like the week's try and, oh, it didn't work for me. That's all willingful blindness. But what I challenge you with is, okay, stop doing it then. Stop. And I'll talk to my clients like this. I'll just say, stop. Stop doing it then. Just tell me what's your alternative in the context of this business, short of quitting. I know it's an extreme statement you make to somebody, but you're trying to shock somebody, into this conversation in an intelligent way. You have one alternative: quit the entire business. But if you're not going to do something that seems to make sense logically, even though, like Edison says, it comes dressed in overalls and looks like work, even though that's the case, okay, what's your alternative? Are you going to go back and try to do that online lead generation conversion with that old script? Are you going to say that's what you're going to try? Because you know what happened when it atrophied, when it changed. So do you have a new way of doing that? Great, I'm all ears now. The cynic in me has to open up as a coach. I'm all ears. What's your alternative to doing this? So you see where I'm going is that you have to really challenge this inner cynic, because there is good and there is bad with it. So let me go back and summarize these points again. And I'll emphasize, I changed the title of this podcast, by the way, just ever so subtly. When I said stop being cynical in the beginning, I said, stop being so cynical. Stop being so cynical. That's the key point, because the first bullet point that I put here was cynicism is fine if you're open-minded. The second point was because you have to stay open-minded, because you don't know what you don't know today. And I don't care how expert you are in this business, you're always making new distinctions. The variables change by the minute, from the external stuff in the marketplace to internally in your business as you learn more. Third, long-term cynicism that is allowed to take over and close your mind creates what's called willingful blindness. That you say, yeah, it works for you, but it doesn't work for me. It would never work for me. So you're willingly blind. You can see multiple people being successful with a technique or a strategy or a script or whatever it might be, and you are now so cynical you're willingly blind, right? That's not good. And the way that you really shock yourself out of that is, okay, if I'm not going to evolve into directions that I logically believe are working for other people, then you have to look in the mirror, or get a coach like me who's going to get in your face like a mirror and say, great, what's your alternative? All right, let me summarize it this way. Used in moderation as a protective mechanism, cynicism can actually be a helpful tool that helps us avoid major mistakes. However, recognizing that we don't know what we don't know, we must always be open to learning more and testing new ideas. If we grow our cynicism to the point where it causes willingful blindness, then we're killing our business growth potential. At that point, our inner cynic is now just a lazy bum standing in the way. So put that voice in check. Put that inner cynic in check by considering, okay, and asking the cynic, Does it have a better alternative? And if not, then we need to move on, push forward, and try what seems right. All right, remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction with our free simple business plan that's waiting at freeagentgift.com. And don't be a cynic. Get over there and at least download the one-page infographic. All of my high-end producing clients, meaning these people are doing hundreds of thousands, several million dollars in gross revenue. Of course, it's with a mechanism of a team and software. I get it, okay? But I'm still saying it is the same fundamental information that I give a new agent at my brokerage, the Griffin, that I coach these top producers on. And I'm giving it to you in one page, right? Plus a series of videos where I just walk through business organization ideas. It's a great foundation. Stop idea hunting and pecking. All right. Also, don't forget you can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. We also post our content on YouTube. So don't forget to subscribe to the Realty Class channel and click those little notifications, and you'll know we're doing a lot more to clean up our YouTube presence and our website, etc. So real exciting time ahead of me, and I have a brand new switcher here and everything. Looking forward to some new YouTube content for the Realty Classroom. So jump over there on YouTube and get subscribed. We also appreciate it, of course, if you would share this content with other real estate agents just like you, so that everybody gets some help. Let's just help each other. Just makes the business better. But remember this, I sign off the same way every time. Nobody's coming for you. Absolutely nobody. So go get to work on your own business with a good, solid plan, and we'll see you in the next episode to help you do just that. Thanks again.